Well, I'm back out of the spot that I was at the other week. I cleared a hole through the end of those trees over there, and it's been kind of bugging me. This bit of trail is kind of a mess. The other week when I was here, there's too much overhanging deadfall to be safe to be cutting under there without some means of pulling it out. So it's that piece of rope that I have on there. That is actually really handy if you're cutting stuff like this, because when you cut a log, you need to be able to control the log. I cut this big one out last week when I was here, and I was going to tackle these ones, but I didn't have a piece of rope with me. So anytime you're doing something like that, you've got to be able to control the log. Once you cut it, you've got to be able to control it, because they can roll on you and do all kinds of weird things. So what I have is a piece of rope with me, and what I'm going to do is use that just to lash it to one of those other logs. Just put a quick bite on it, so that when I do cut it, it can't roll or do anything really weird and become a dangerous tree. Lots of small ones under there. Once this big one's out of here, this one's not too bad. I don't know what that is, 8-10 inches, something like that. See, there's some smaller ones over there, but the reason I was a bit cautious last week is there's a couple up there that I don't like the look of. So this one, I will have this out of here in a minute. I'm going to leave the side branches on it, other than enough for me to cut it. That way, if it hits the ground, it can't roll then. If you leave the branches sticking out a little bit, it can't roll. That's what I did with this one. See, I left some of the branches sticking out, so when it hits the ground, nowhere for it to go. So I did cut that one last week that I was here. And that's similar size log, I guess. Yeah. So I brought a bunch of gear with me today. It's going to be a very hot day today, so I'm not really quite sure why I'm doing this on. I think it's going to be 33 degrees, they said today, so it's going to be a pretty warm day. So I shall make a start on it while it's still cool, and then hopefully I can get this lot cleared out of here. So there's my mess before I start. I did get a head start because I cut that one last week, so that's good. Right, let me get that underway and I'll see how I get on. Well, I cut through that end, and this one's currently in the position now where it's falling. I cut through here, right in that joint there, and it is creaking badly. So I will do this from a distance. There she goes. That's why you do it slowly, because although that doesn't look much of a log, I can tell you that is a very heavy log. Yeah. Right. Now she's down. I've got to get her on the ground and spin around. Probably see if I can get around underneath that one. Get it out of the way. Right. Well, that was a lot of cutting. Got it out of there. So I'll make a start on the others there in a second, once I know nothing else is moving. Once you cut some like that, just wait a while just to see if anything else is moving. Doesn't look like it is, so I will get on with it. So this is progressing fairly well. I've got a couple of these cut through, that small one out the top there. But this is what I do, I tie a rope to it. So once I cut that thing loose, I got something to pull on it. I'm not actually touching the log. So if the log falls or does it, because it's probably still a 200 pound, 300 pound log. They're pretty heavy. That one that I dragged down here, the big one I just cut out, I actually dragged it down here because it was, believe it or not, easier to drag it with a bit of rope than it is to try and manhandle it, I can tell you. So yeah, I was going to stack that one, but nope, that can stay right there because that's just too heavy. So this one, I have the rope around it already. I'm ready to cut that one out of there. I'm a good way through this end, so once I've got that end out of there, I shall do a little bit more, and then hopefully there's just a few smaller ones in there, get those out the way. But these big ones are sitting on top of the small ones, so I can't cut the small ones out first because you never know what's going to move then. Right, let me get those moved and I shall carry on. Well now, if that wasn't a lot of work, yeah, whew. That's a lot of trees. I don't know how many we cut out of there. One. There's a big one. Another big one down there. That was the largest one. I cut all these out of here. Some of these are just small trees, some of them are a bit bigger. They still got a bit of spring to them, so they're still holding up something. Yeah. to stand there too long because there's a couple up there that are dead, so I shall stay out of there. Yeah, that was a lot of work, cut that lot out. Would have taken me with a chainsaw 10 minutes. And there'd have been smaller logs too, but cutting them by hand, I only like to do 2 cuts, one on each end if I can help it, but you have to make the logs a manageable size. So this one down here laying on the ground was the biggest log. I'm going to measure that, so it's 1, 2, 3, about 3.5 paces long. So what's that, 10 feet, 12 feet, bloody heavy feet, that's what that is. Either way, that's that mess done. And it's so much easier with a little piece of rope. You wouldn't think a little piece of rope like that would actually make that much difference, but it actually does, makes a huge difference, because you can just sling it around it and you can kind of lift an end stood up. You're not bent over trying to move one of these heavy logs. And that log laying on the ground there, that big one, that's probably 300-400 pounds easy. Yeah, you can't lift that. If you can lift that, you could probably chew your way through these logs. Yeah. However, job done. That looks much better. Yes, sticks out on the ground, but it doesn't matter. The cows will soon make short work of all that lot. Now, if I remember rightly, there's another couple down that way, so I'm going to sit here, have a little bite to eat, enjoy the nice clear trail that we have now, and get back to it. That's a fair size one, that one. I don't know what that is. Pretty big. That big one under there, that was the worst one. I don't know what size that is, but bigger than the boot, that's for sure. Yeah. 8 to 10 inches, I guess, that one. Right, I'm going to sit on this very nice log. This is one that I cut out last week. I cut this one out to make a start on that lot, and then I saw those leaners up there, and I didn't have a rope with me, so, but now I do. So I'm going to have something to eat, enjoy the sound of the creek, which is over through there, and move on down the trail to the next lot. Alright, a coil of rope also makes a fairly comfortable chair. So we have a fire ban on this week because it's long weekend and it's been very dry. It's supposed to be 33 degrees today, and we did have some rain the other week, and they lifted the fire restriction and the northern forest became clear. It's a long weekend this weekend, so we got very hot temperatures coming, so we now have a fire advisory, which basically means you can still have a campfire in a campsite, like in one of those metal what's the name, fire pits, or if you've got like a brick built one or whatever, but it's got to be built in stone and rock and iron and steel, so nothing can really catch fire. I can't come out here camping and have a campfire out here at the moment, so unfortunately, otherwise that's exactly what I'd be doing. That was actually my plan for this weekend, was to go camping for the 3 days. However, since we have a fire ban, that's not so much fun. Yeah, so unfortunately you end up surrounded by mosquitoes and that, and half the fun of going for a campfire camping is to have a campfire, of course. So if you can't do that, well, come and do something useful instead, like clearing trails and eating a sausage roll. Yeah. Oh, that is good. The thing I like about these sausage rolls is hot or cold, doesn't matter, they're already pre-cooked. I'm quite impressed with that mess I got out of there. What have we got in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trees. That's a lot of trees in one spot. Yeah, fortunately they're not all huge ones like that one over there. That one was way too big. That's really a 2-person tree, but with a rope actually works very well. Right, I am going to stop waffling. I'm going to sit and enjoy this sausage roll, enjoy the sunshine, and then head on down that way.